backyard Barbies to volunteer halls. You can hear that spirit in the weekend calls. Doesn't take gold, just a soul that cares. They're doing good stuff everywhere.
Tune fits in with the theme of the day, Neil.
It does, doesn't it? It's almost like it was written for the occasion, wasn't it? We like to talk to people who are doing good stuff at this time of the day, and one such gentleman is a chap called Julian Canny, who is based in the beautiful town of Geraldton on the western coast of Western Australia. Good morning to you, Julian.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Going very well, thanks. Neil here, Rob, the other voice you've already spoken to. Well, first of all, sorry about stuffing up the dates. I'm looking at the text message that you said today was good, but that's okay. We're all confused.
Yeah, well, I dropped it in the calendar and I thought, oh, yep, that was right, and then just walked away putting the wrong day.
No, it's okay. Hey, you're doing good stuff, and you and I have chatted on a podcast about this organisation. It's called Euphorium. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we're a small but say dynamic organisation that basically has been working with communities that are in some form of change or transition for about the last 7 years, through using a bit of creativity, using a bit of fun, and trying to make change a little bit more enjoyable.
So, what sort of changes are we talking about?
Well, the changes are never right. There's always going to be some kind of, most of the time I'd love to say that we're working with people who are, trying to move to a brighter future, but, more often than not, unfortunately, sometimes it's moving away from a crisis. And so, when there is change that's happening, it's, if it's going to happen anyway, I think we often talk about the fact that it's what if we were able to embrace it, have a bit more agency in it, more choice, and so if that's the case, then how can we sort of find ways people can get together, talk about it, test it, experiment. We do that through lots of events and festivals, and just a lot of the time it just looks like getting a lot of people in a room together. To sort of, just be a bit more optimistic about what could happen through just trying or doing. So, yeah, that can kind of look like really anything in a way, but it's I think it's just more like being more open and conscious about what might happen, and getting a chance to, do it.
We saw in Geelong a few years ago when we changed seemingly overnight from a manufacturing town, Ford Motor Company, Alcoa, probably two of the biggest employers in the town, both closed massive businesses, and the whole outlook of the town changed quite quickly. It seems to have settled well now, but I sense in the future, Julian, there's going to be a lot of communities centred around things like maybe coal production or timber production that are going to have changes to the culture of the town, and I suppose for some those changes will be massive. Is this some of the things that you're working with collaboratively with communities to adopt that change?
Exactly. You named perfect examples. You can have structural change, right? So maybe we're no longer going to be we're less of a mining town, or we're moving away from this kind of industry. But so that's very simple on the surface. But what's underneath it all is usually it's more about identity than anything else, right? So, particularly if you've got a community that's been in mining for a long time, or you might have a lot of family members who are involved in that, and they only know themselves in that way. It's if we can try and look at how do we, how can they kind of see we were kind of town, and not to say that we're not anymore, but how do we evolve into something new that still sort of honours that, without having to sort of just leave it behind, very, very drastically. And I think that you're going to see that more and more in communities, where it's letting people have a bit more agency and choice in how that might actually consciously shift rather than having change sort of forced upon them. The phrase we'll often say is like, how do we help people be the victors of this situation rather than the victims? And just that one, like, if you have that feeling of agency and somewhat in the change that's happening, the change can be exactly like the situation can be the same, but it completely changes the way that how someone might experience it.
So your role in a lot of these cases could be talking more about the positive of the change, because I imagine a thing like a coal town. I know the Hunter Valley, New South Wales, those coal towns are really proud of their heritage and who they are.
And the Latrobe Valley down here.
Yeah, Latrobe Valley. But if you're not going to be breathing in coal dust, that's probably a positive you could start to talk about, as well as other things of what the future might look like that's going to be better, rather than dwelling on what we've always done.
Hey, don't take away our coal dust, all right? Breathe in that coal dust before then, you know. Pretty much, yeah. Like it's all about choice, right? Like if you feel like you have a choice and you've made the choice yourself, rather than the choice being forced upon you, it changes the context completely, right? And it's so how do we create this scenario, environment, situation in which the choice feels like it's been made by someone themselves rather than being forced upon them? And you can do that through a lot of different ways, but normally the only thing, one thing you do need is to just give people the chance to feel like they've made it through action. And so if that means creating an event, creating spaces for people to talk about it, it could be anything really, but yeah, it all comes down to that perception of choice.
I think the other thing, we just paint a picture for those who are listening who haven't been to Western Australia. Geraldton, I think, is the third biggest town in WA behind Perth and Bunbury, 4 hours drive or thereabouts north. So very remote from our perspective, but from a WA perspective, quite a hub. You're not doing just this work in and around Geraldton, are you? Doing it in the outlying areas as well?
Yeah, so we work sort of in the goldfields in Kalgoorlie. Geraldton's not really remote at all in the context of WA. You know, we're only 4.5 hours from another regional centre.
That's a good road, actually. I've been down a couple of times.
What's that?
It's not a bad road. Like, it's quite drivable, isn't it, for 4.5 hours?
Yeah, I just popped to Perth and back again. Yesterday. So, it's quite funny when I go over east and people talk about regional Victoria, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, we're 70 k's out of Melbourne, and we're officially regional.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the context is a bit different when you come over to WA, but yeah, the amazing thing is you can drive all the way up to Geraldton or even up to like Carnarvon, which is 1,000 kilometres from Perth, and you're still barely even halfway up.
It's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It is. It is a big state, and there's a big difference between sort of regional Western Australia, remote Western Australia, and rural.
Yeah,
there's almost those three different layers.
Well, we're going to have to let you go because we're coming up to the 11 o'clock break. But if people want to know more about Euphorium, I'm assuming you've got a good website.
Yeah, but like every organisation, it's never up to date.
But there is a photo of you on it I saw yesterday.
There is. Yeah.
What a handsome young man he is.
Well, look, stop it. Look, one of the best places is actually just to go to our Facebook page and Instagram page, to be honest.
Yep.
Which is EUPHRUIM. And that's just Euphorium, and you can kind of just get an idea of seeing the work that we do, and then if you're interested in change, we love to hear about how other communities are doing it, and reach out. So
Euphorium, like Euphoria, with an A off the end and a UM instead, eh?
Yep, that's perfect.
Julian, congratulations on the work you're doing. I know it's making a massive difference, particularly in the smaller communities a little further out. Well done to you and the team, and thanks for doing good stuff.
Cheers, guys.